Hi, welcome to my journey. My name is Cherie. I've been feeling my birthday ever since yesterday, right? So, we play some music, we reminisce, and yeah, we're gonna be 65 today. Never would have thought I made it this far. Never. Anyway, I did. I made it. A little bit disappointed because, Fidelity was so slow in giving me my last check. Fidelity, I've been working with them for the last 6 months, trying to get them to pay me my pension, on my birthday, like my birthday present, right? It doesn't look like it's gonna happen, right? So what it looks like, let me tell you what it looks like. What it looks like, they're going to combine this partial month and next month together, so that way they get 10 days of interest. I hate that for them, okay? Because it just seems to me, how you gonna be a financial institution and act like we're all dumb to why you don't release money on time, right? Because when I got laid off, they took 6 months to issue me my last check, okay? But that was a good thing. That was during the pandemic. Pandemic wanted to know, did you get paid? Yes, I got paid. Well, those were wages. So I ended up, getting by, the pandemic off of the hair of my chinny chin chin. And we do get hairs as we get older. Hold on. So anyway, I figured since the weather is mild right now, that I might as well get out and go to the store. Okay, because if I wait, I won't want to go to the store in stormy, rainy weather. Okay? So we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to get out while we had this break. Actually, I thought it wasn't going to rain until later, but I came out here and it's already wet. Like, oh, it's been raining. Yeah, and it has. So, yeah, I'm on my way. I think I always go to Winco when I have to pick up paper towels, toilet paper, and stuff that, I like, and it's at a low cost. I do. I like Winco. Winco is great. And it's the closest store to me, really. I don't know, maybe it's tying with Tom Thumb. But Tom Thumb's is expensive. So we rarely go to Tom Thumb's. Now there was a time I did go to Tom Thumb's, when I had an income. Okay? And God knows I did not know that retirement was going to look like a welfare system. And it really is looking like a welfare system to me. Where, like I said, they try to ration what they give you. They don't want to give it to you. They trying to double check and triple check and quadruple check to see if you actually qualify for it. And it's like, what? And then they end up giving it to you late anyway. So, yeah. So what does that mean? That means everybody's going to get paid late. What is it going to mean to me? I'm going to end up being charged late charges. That's all it means. Right? And they act like it's not their fault, but it's my fault because somewhere between the minimum wage and the cut back hours and the extreme work that, broke my body down, I was supposed to have been able to save money. Oh yeah. And believe me, my savings was gone right after the pandemic. Yep, it was gone. No more savings. Pandemic wiped out my savings. And I'm like, well, if this was a national or even a global event, how did our government even allow this type of disaster, financial disaster, occur and affect so many people without even trying to give it back to them, without even trying to give them a break, without even trying to, correct the situation, even though, right, even though they're trying to say, oh, well, there's this new disease popping up, horror virus. No, that's been around. If you even do a search on YouTube, you'll see it's been around a good 13 years. The horror virus or something like that, that's been around a good 13, 15 years. Damn near longer than COVID-19. Now, COVID-19 is still around, right? I have come to the conclusion that I have been infected with COVID-19 February 2023 while at work. Can I prove it? No. Did I lose my job? Yes. Was I sick for what? Still sick because I can't breathe, right? I can't taste food. Going on now, what is that? A year plus, right? And it's been gradually, eroding my sense of smell and my sense of taste, and the congestion is constant, right? Totally looks like allergies, right? And it could be because I often say, I'm very allergic to chemtrails. There's something in the chemtrails that makes me allergic for sure. Okay? So anyway, let me go in here to this Winco and make sure that I get my toilet paper and some coffee filters. And then I'll be all right. And shit, just sit back and wait for them to evict me, because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get you caught up to where you like a month late, 2 months late, and boom, they want to evict your ass out the house, right? And it's like, okay, you're going to evict me out my house. My house is falling apart for sure. I've been holding on to it, hoping that they will give me a job. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you about my background, right? My background started off with computerized accounting, certificate, right? And some business schools. Okay, now, that should have guaranteed me never to be without a job. Okay? Then, we're talking life insurance licenses. We're talking property and casualty licenses, real estate license, right? Had positions of supervisory and administration. How in the hell do I end up unemployed and unemployable if it's not politics? Okay? So, I take on the challenge and I say, yeah, no problem. I'm strong, healthy, bet I can work warehouse and labor work, right? And oh my God, did they try to put me through the test? Who is they? The manosphere. The manosphere put me through the test, right? They had to bring their strongest men up against me, right? Because the weak men, they were like, get out the race. We want to make this woman look bad, right? And they were like, look, don't do this, you know, you're gonna make our standards higher, you know, by doing this. And they did. And they did. So yeah, they went from, you know, having, you know, to do 15-20 minute a pick, or 15 or 30 minute to a minute, you know, stacking or whatever, or rapping or whatever it was, because, you know, they got everything timed down to like the second, right? They upped all of their standards because they're like, well, that old woman can do it, then, you know, I surely can do it better than you, right? And it's like, yeah, maybe you can, but do you want that to be the standard? Just to try to get me out, right? Because they didn't want older women in the warehouse, right? They didn't mind young women in the warehouse because they could manipulate the young women. They definitely didn't want an older woman that might disagree with the sexual harassment that was going on in the warehouse. You know, they could, you know, personally, I don't even believe that they should sexually harass other men, right? But men, they have the ability to protect themselves, right? They're stronger, the law's behind them, whereas women, they're weaker, the law is not behind them, and it happens so commonly that they try to make it seem like it's acceptable, but it's not. It's against the law. Okay? So you should see the way that they joust for positions in Amazon, right? Amazon, government-backed corporation, full of sexual harassment and sexual discrimination. Sad. And I worked there for 4 years. I think I worked at 5 different warehouses and like six or 7 positions. Okay? And you know, it was just unbelievable. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was like, at first, because I kept thinking, no, it's got to be this warehouse. You know, this kind of weird, you know, jealousy and politics and stuff. It's just got to be this warehouse. But no, I went to several different warehouses and found the same behavior of the manosphere, you know, wanting to take advantage of feminine men and feminine women, or women in general. The women didn't even have to be feminine. They'll take advantage of any woman regardless. She could be a hoe. She could be that's another thing, right? I hate the fact when, you know, these men sit up here and they call women hoes just because they want to fuck them. Okay, you gonna call a woman a hoe just because you want to fuck them, and then not wear protection, and then blame her for having a baby with you? Then you don't want to pay child support? Right? And that was one of the things I keep telling women. I'm like, look, if you can't afford that baby, take that baby to family court and give that baby to the courts and let that baby survive. You're not going to have nothing but misery with a man who blames you for having a child he doesn't want and that he has to pay child support for. And that will mean that he will triangulate that child against you from even being a proper mom to that child. Especially if he wants to go on about his life with another family. These men have, I don't know how many families, how many baby mamas, right? Back in the day, they had expected grandmothers to take care of, you know, these illegitimate children, but the grandmother and the grandfather, they were like, listen, we're not taking care of your children. You better take care of your own children. And that's why they had a situation where, you know, they would force the man to marry the woman, right? Shotgun wedding and stuff like that, you know. And of course, he rebelled. He disagreed that he should have to marry her, right? And it's like, what are you going to do with the kid? Then he was like, well, I take the kid. I don't want the woman. Like, what do you expect a child to do without a mama? Well, my mama could be the baby's mama too. Like, you stupid motherfucker. Right? You don't even know what it's like to be raised without a mother. You don't. You probably don't know what it's like to be raised with a daddy. Right? Because you know, majority of the kids out here, they're not made out of love. They're what I would call illegitimate bastards. Okay? That's what I would call them. Illegitimate bastards. Because they wasn't planned and they wasn't wanted after they got here. And it didn't matter. It didn't matter, you know, how successful they were. You know, because the whole situation was probably a coercion or, you know, extortion or RAPE situation. You know, and the sad part about it is you have these men, you know, think that this is an acceptable type of life. And when they get horny and hard up, that's why they start a war. They're like, look, if we start a war, you know, we get free sex by sparing, you know, the lives of, you know, the opponent. Or, you know, they still get free sex if they decide to take advantage over them before killing them. Isn't that weird? That's like the weirdest download that I got today was, oh my God, you know. And the worst, wasn't even worse. The worst part was the whole having sex with a corpse. Like, really? Huh? Let me go inside.